The Democrats in Virginia are moving to teach officially in the curriculum, in the education system, that the January 6th incident was an insurrection. Now, to be clear, and I've said this several times, I am no fan of what happened on January 6th. It was certainly vandalism and destruction of property. Well, that's what vandalism is, right? Destruction of what we call public property. Some of the other things that happened, storming the Capitol, this was not good. It is criminal. What I say it's an insurrection, I think that's a bit of a stretch. Certainly, insurrections have been fomented, but they've been fomented by organizations like BLM and Antifa, which nobody in the establishment would call an insurrection, but actually I believe that qualifies more as an insurrection than January 6th. But anyway, that aside, the point here is that the education system, in its ideal form, should be teaching students how to think, how to do critical thinking. So that's comprehension, that's basic math and the basic foundation of logical thinking. That's what basic math is. Proper communication, so that's like writing, right? Proper grammar. Those are all components to critical thinking. Learning how to utilize reference materials. I remember when I was in high school, we had these little book reports and we had to go to the library and we had to learn how to use the system and how to pull information within the library. And this day and age, it's a little bit easier. I'm a bit older. I'm actually old enough to remember a time when not everything was on the computer. So you actually had to look through filing cabinets and stuff. That's how old I am. But anyway, that's what education should be for. Okay, it should be to teach students, like I just said, all the components necessary for critical thinking skills. When you're talking about contemporary issues, that should be saved for university level, maybe high school if it's a discussion. But it should be in a format where you're questioning the students. Again, you're employing critical thinking skills to contemporary issues. When you're talking about, they want to pass a bill in Virginia where they make it a part of the curriculum. They're pushing the narrative in the curriculum. So at that point, you're not teaching critical thinking skills. You're trying to teach the students what to think. Okay, think this way, or else you get a bad grade, or else it shows up on your record that you don't perform as well academically. And this is short-sighted, actually, for a couple of reasons. The first is obvious. This is, again, you're not building human capital. You're making the political opinion as a as the like the gatekeeper, I guess. The other thing is people will look at this, and with all the other policies in Virginia, with the higher taxes and regulation in that state, they're going to look at this and say, well, this is obviously this political party's attempt to push their agenda. They're going to, instead of taking in more tax revenue, they're going to drive it away because businesses, if they can, are going to move out of the state to an area that's more friendly to them. And why would you want your kids to go to a school in Virginia that teaches, some partisan politics, right? I mean, you don't have to be, you don't even have to be like in the Trump camp. You can be nonpartisan and can see it this way and say, like I said, this is short-sighted. This is obviously pushing an agenda. So anyway, at the expense of the developing minds of the students. So anyway, this is an article which I'll link in the description below. Like I said, it's one of many short-sighted policies that have been coming out of the Virginia Democrats since they've gotten into office. So anyway, take a look at it.